Right, it's terribly exciting here on Rose Ed because we got our first ever guest. Hannah, are you excited? We're about to do something serious for the first time ever.
I feel like I actually have got a bit of anxiety.
You look anxious. You look anxious.
Doing something serious for once, and 20 episodes. Here we go.
Right, it's very exciting because we've got Charlotte Robson here from the True Faith Newcastle podcast and Fanzine. Charlotte, how's it going?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Very good, thank you. It's been an interesting week for you. Talk us through the roller coaster of emotions you've been on.
Yeah, well, God, it's Wednesday when we're recording now, which is the day last week that this started to trickle through in the afternoon, that this takeover may be actually happening and in fact may be done. It was pretty much lunchtime, just after lunchtime last week, where I was like, okay, there's going to be no more work getting done today. Just constantly refreshing Twitter, checking what journalists were saying. Luke Edwards from The Telegraph, who has sort of made a bit of a name for himself being quite negative about the prospects of this takeover, came out in the afternoon and said, I'm very confident this is going to happen. And then that was like a turning point for people. My dad, I'm living in my parents' house at the moment. My dad quite literally left the house to go and try and buy a season ticket there and then. Their box office was closed, unfortunately. They aren't selling them at the moment.
So you got down there.
Yeah, no, literally he was like, I will not. I was like, just phone them. Just stay in the house and phone them. He was like, no, I'm going in person. So he went down. And sadly didn't get one, so we'll be in the hordes of people trying to get them half-season tickets later in the season. And then Thursday, it was sort of late on Wednesday night, lots of people saying it's basically done. We are just waiting for an announcement. Thursday was just an insane day because of the podcast, and also I sit on the board of the Supporters Trust. There were just so many media requests to talk about it. And I was also in London for a wedding at the weekend. It's like the worst time to leave Newcastle. And people like sort of batting these away and trying to get people in Newcastle to go and meet with reporters and stuff to talk about this potential takeover. So it was very mad and tiring and exciting, and then it was announced sort of at a weird time, like 5:16 p.m. on the Thursday night, and it's just like I still don't think it's sunk in properly for me. I can't really get my head around it.
Where are you kind of, I suppose, from like an emotional point of view? Because there's obviously the question of where the money comes from. And this has raised a huge question of kind of morality in football and ethics in football. Where does that all sit with you?
It's a really complex and big and horrible question. I think social media has taught people that everything's very binary, and if you think one thing, then you cannot think another. So if you're excited about the takeover, which I'm excited that Mike Ashley's leaving, I'm excited for the future of my football club, like you wouldn't believe. Some people sort of seem to think that means that I can't be conflicted about where the money has come from and about the record in Saudi Arabia. I absolutely am. Like, ultimately, I still support my football club. I'm still very excited about the future. And it opens up a really horrible and interesting conversation that I think everybody should be having about where that money's come from and what that country does or has been alleged to do, or, however people view it. It's a really difficult one, and one I think we will keep talking about and should keep talking about, past the sort of initial excitement of the takeover.
It's weird though, isn't it? Because it's. I was thinking about this quite a lot. I had quite a lot of time at an airport yesterday to go just have a little think.
Were you going somewhere or just hanging out?
Just hanging out.
Yeah.
Just hanging out. I work at the Starbucks to make ends meet while we're trying to get the podcast off. Yeah, they took it away. But I was kind of thinking, the point I think I tried to make to you kind of off air before was that we're people are firstly making they're, as you said, conflating the Premier League and Mike Ashley with Newcastle fans. And people are even saying to you, you've taken Saudi money.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, I haven't. Mike Ashley has. And it's the Premier League that's kind of allowed this to happen. But it's also, I suppose, this issue of, it makes you think more generally about football and the governing bodies in football. Because I was like, okay, so hang on. So I support Tottenham, I support a team in the Premier League. the Premier League allows this to happen. Tottenham play in that. I watch Tottenham. I pay for Sky. I pay for BT. Actually, I don't. Somebody else doesn't. I use their account. Sorry, Rupert.
Never really hit him where it hurts.
Yeah, that's how you hit the moguls, isn't it? But I just sort of thought it starts a more broadly interesting question about kind of what I want out of football, as in kind of the money has poisoned it to such an extent, whether you're talking about Saudi Arabians, whether you're talking about Roman Abramovich, or whether you're talking about sponsorship deals with Nike or whoever it bloody is, Tottenham included. And I've done lots of kind of branded sponsor work with Spurs. I think, hang on, how has this got anything to do with a football club? Like doing this stuff for a Chinese insurance company that I know nothing about. And it's kind of made me think, like, I still love Tottenham and I love the 90 minutes on the pitch, but I think I'm going to do my best to use the tiny platforms that I have to kind of just try and point out things that are maybe wrong with football, in the hope that at some point this kind of this movement starts to grow, and maybe, as we've seen, like fans on the board of football clubs and stuff, maybe there becomes further down the line more moral accountability, because I'm stuck. I'm always going to be a football fan. So maybe further down the line something can change. And I suppose in a very circuitous way, what I'm getting to is, do you feel like as Newcastle fans, maybe you can try and, or is there an instinct, I don't know, to try and kind of maybe improve the behavior of Saudi Arabian state? Yeah. But do you know what I mean? But like,
no, I totally get what you mean. Yeah. I totally get what you mean. And, from a trust point of view, I'm here with my podcast hat on, but from a trust point of view, we've worked with Amnesty before. We work with United with Pride, who are the LGBTQ plus group of Newcastle supporters. Kick it out, racism in football, all of that stuff. And I will, on a personal and like loudly always shun and condemn discrimination. And I also have a very, very small platform. I really don't want to overstate that. And I'll continue to have those conversations and engage with people. I think it's really important not to shy away from them. There is too much money in football. There used to, like, not to sound reductive, but the housing market had a bubble and it burst. Surely that is going to happen. I don't know on what kind of timeline, but surely that kind of thing will happen. I think the fan-led review, which the trust contributed to, is a really important first stepping stone in that. We're hoping as a result of that fans get a golden share in their football club, that they have a seat at the table and they are consulted on things. As it stands, fans are not consulted on anything. So to start to say to Newcastle fans, you've taken Saudi money, or aren't you disgusted? Well, there wasn't any choice given to us. And I know that some people may say, well, okay, you could boycott, you could protest, you could do X, Y, and Z. But the average football fan wants to, like you say, Joe, go and watch their 90 minutes on the pitch. Like that is a very big and difficult thing to ask a normal football fan to do. And I think it's just a really difficult situation and a really difficult question. And I don't have the answer right now. Yeah. If I did, I think I would have a lot more money than I do if I had the answers to these questions.
It's not as if the money's been divvied up between every Newcastle fan, is it?
No.
It's not as if you've personally gone, I'm going to have a great benefit of this. But there are going to be benefits for Newcastle, not just the football team, but the surrounding areas.
Well, that's the thing as well. Yeah, you're so right. And I was thinking about that and then forgot. So thank you, Hannah. That.
Well done, Hannah.
Football's very much about community as well, and particularly in the northeast, where if you've been, St James's Park is in the centre of town. Like if you're shopping in town, you can hear when a goal goes in, and it's like this bastion of the community. It's just there, and it has been neglected for such a long time, and so have the facilities, and so have the sort of academy, for example, used to be something the local kids would be desperate to get into. And I really don't think that's the case at the moment, because the facilities have been just left to ruin and the quality, so there are enormous benefits for the region as well as for the club. And, ascending the table is obviously something we're very interested in doing, but there is a really exciting opportunity for the region and community. And I know that comes at a really difficult price, but that's the reality. And if I'm trying to look at the positives of all of this, then that is a massive one for me.
Yeah. But perhaps not an exciting opportunity for Steve Bruce. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I disagree, Hannah, because Steve Bruce stands to gain about 8 million quid from leaving Newcastle United. So that feels pretty exciting to me.
I've told you, it's the best job in the world being a football manager, because you blow it and you get loads of money. It's so good.
You can be a
Even
terrible...
if people hate you get paid.
Yeah, terrible football manager. 7 wins and 37 or whatever it is. Terrible. And here's 8 million quid. Good luck to you. I can't wait for him to leave. He's the last sort of what's the word I want? Like relic, but not really, of the Ashley era. He was hired to keep us at 17th. He was hired to just, in his words, keep us ticking along. That is literally what he said his job was to do. He is, probably just naturally not a great communicator, but he has been terrible at trying to engage with fans. I just can't wait for him to go.
Who do you want to take over?
Oh God, literally give me a Sunday League manager.
Would you like Nuno? Because I can facilitate that for you.
Honestly, where we are, because let's not forget Newcastle are 19th. Nuno would do a job for us. He's not the answer for the rest of the, for the next few seasons, but Nuno would get us out of the relegation zone. I have no doubt in my mind. So yes, I'll take him if you're offering.
I've heard Antonio Conte.
Yeah, there are rumours Brendan Rodgers is also a bookie favourite at the moment. I don't actually think that the consortium who have bought us have anybody lined up. From all sort of accounts that I've heard, they had a great link with Rafa and they really wanted to bring Rafa back, and he that would have been great because we loved him. But he took the Everton job, and he's a very, as far as I understand it, very prideful man that will never just walk away from a job.
He can be prized away, Rafa, can't he? I mean, this was the guy that went to China.
Yeah, because his contract ended, though.
Sort of
his contract ended.
Yeah, but I mean, if you sort of give him a bit of dosh, I'm sure he'll be.
Mate, you can't say anything about Rafa to Toon fans.
Yeah, I'm going to throw this laptop in the Tyne, Mike. I genuinely don't think he would be priced away. I think once his contract ends, and he might. If the job was still there, which, I hope it isn't, I think he might consider it, but he's doing a job at Everton, and he's got backing, and he's got a really good project on the go, and that seems to be what Rafa really thrives on. So
he's doing a really great job. I mean, he's turned Damari Gray £1.5 million signing into, what looks like a good player. Andros Townsend, we were talking about him last week. He's just unbelievable. So fair play, but it feels like sort of poetic that Rafa would go, because he spent that time at your club and did well, but with no resources. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for him to go back now with a load of money and say, look, Rafa is an open checkbook, go and get who you want, it would be nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure what happened.
A stitch up for Everton fans though. Ancelotti did one when they thought he was there for the long haul. Benitez, it's a bit harsh.
I don't think he would go. I would love it because I loved him. But I don't think he would leave Everton.
Do you think we're going to see a few new signings then in the January transfer window? Because for bar kind of Alassane Maximan, there's quite a lot of overhauling to be done.
Yes, we have largely the same team as the championship season in 2017. Yeah. Yes, but I don't think, people are like, you're going to announce Mbappe and all of this rubbish. We're not in Europe. We're not going to attract those people. Those people want to play in Europe, right? There'll be, I think, or I hope, real strategic decisions on signings and loans for January to keep us up, to sort of move up the table, and then in the summer window, much more of an overhaul. But again, I think it's going to take a season or two to attract those super, super top tier players, because we need to move up the table. There are some players who might come on the prospect, but they'd have to be younger players who are, already brilliant and exciting, that they're already playing in Europe, and they don't want to just leave and leave that exposure and that cash.
It would be really fun though, because when Man City got taken over, I think they signed, was it Robinho?
Robinho, yeah.
Joe as well, like these really like high profile players, like just go and spunk a load of money on this like really flashy player. It would be good to watch.
It would be good to watch, but I also that didn't work for them very well. Like
no, but they just had unlimited money, so eventually they got it right. It took a long time, but they got there.
I would rather it takes a long time and you can see a project being built. Personally, I just think that you get a lot more buy-in from fans who, once they can see it, this is another thing with Rafa, like you can see that he's got a plan and he's got these like binders full of potential players at all different price points that would fit into how he wants to set up and how he wants to play. And that is exciting for me as a football fan to think, oh, this really clever like brain has thought it out in a really structured way. Doesn't sound that sexy, does it? But it does. That excites me more than just
James Tarkowski is not as sexy as someone like Brazilian version of him, who I don't know who that is.
But the last thing any manager wants to do is come in and irritate Newcastle fans, because we've seen, particularly over this last week, the last few months even, Newcastle fans are something else, aren't they?
Yeah, very much so. We are. The Trust ran, I realise I'm talking a lot about the Trust, but we've done a lot of stuff lately. We ran a snap poll, a pulse survey just before, it was after the Wolves game, so just before the takeover was announced. The Wolves game, by the way, which I was at the Molineux, and I left like more depressed than I've ever left a Newcastle match. It was just, I was genuinely just sad. Like it was just, the away end wasn't in sort of unison or full voice. Like
and that's weird. That's very unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard at the Molineux because you're spread over an entire stand rather than like compacted into one bit. So it is hard to kind of you're on one tier of one stand as away fans. So I think that doesn't help. But it was turgid football. It was just so crap. Wolves were rubbish and they beat us. And like, it was just like, where do we go from here? Like, there is no, how do we progress? And then, and we ran a pulse survey, yes, to your question, Hannah, saying like, do you want Steve Bruce to go? And within 12 hours, we had 5,000 responses. It was something like 97% said yes.
Wow.
So we put that out into the press and it was picked up by nationals at the time. And this is the fan base that you're dealing with. Like, they're extremely passionate. They love their team and their city for the ones that are from here, and not really, let's be honest. And getting on the wrong side of them is not going to work out well for you, in my opinion. But having said that, it's also not hard to get on the right side of us. You just have to like communicate, not be a dick. And am I allowed to say that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, of course you can. You're passionate.
Communicate, not be a dick, and also just like not play crap football. Like Rafa's football was sometimes quite boring to watch, but you knew it was part of a plan. Like if you can communicate that to fans and say this is part of it, that wasn't good enough. Coming out and saying that was when we drew 1-1 with Leeds and saying that was a thoroughly entertaining game of football. And then Bielsa comes out and is like furious because he hasn't won. That's what we want. We want a manager that's like, we should have won that game and I'm going to make sure that we do next time.
And what was the turning point for Steve Bruce? Because you obviously must have liked him initially, but you've never liked him. You've just never liked him.
No.
So none of the fans were happy when he signed, and you've just maintained
that.
He
used to manage Sunderland, didn't he?
He did.
So
developed the hatred.
That's why.
But Hannah's a United fan, right? So she likes Steve Bruce. So
you can have him if you like.
I just feel a bit sorry for him.
I like him.
He's better than Solskjaer.
I would feel sorry for him if he had any ounce of humility or was being paid no money, but he was being paid a significant sum of money to do a terrible job, and I have little to no sympathy for that.
Yeah, and I know it's like you don't want to hear your manager come out after you've had a terrible performance and be like, well, I didn't think it was too bad, because you're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
What are you
how do you improve if your manager's saying like, good game, and you're like, you lost? How is that a good game? It's like, well, we were good for he often says we're good for 45 minutes. We're good for 60 minutes. The game's 90 minutes long. You have to be good for the whole time. Like, stop saying that.
So you're not going to miss Steve?
No,
I like him. Bruce. I sort of want him to be like my father-in-law, or like a sort of a drunk uncle that I go and see from time. I wouldn't want him managing my football club, but I think he's quite cute in sort of a bumbling way.
He has so many friends in the media, and lots of accounts say he's a really nice guy. I saw him once walking his dog in Newcastle and said hello, and he was nice enough. You know, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he's a bad football manager, and he doesn't communicate well, and he bristles, and he's got thin skin, and he just shouldn't be in the job.
What dog's he got, Charlotte?
She's called Maggie, and she was brown.
Okay.
I'm a cat person, so
I was just really hoping you were going to say something nice that, like, at some point, you know, you did have a bit of belief in Steve, but you just not. There's just never no. Okay.
Him coming was just typified Mike Ashley's Newcastle United. Like, Steve Bruce is not an ambitious appointment. Steve Bruce used to manage Sunderland, and when he managed Sunderland, he specifically said, I would never want to manage Newcastle. Like, no, thank you. That is not for me. And then when he came to us, he was like, this is my dream job. It's always been my dream job. And I'm like, I know you have to kind of say those sort of weird platitudes to rival clubs or whatever, but like, just shut up, man. Just don't talk about it.
Well, look, he is going to be gone, I'd imagine. But by the time this podcast comes out on Friday, I'd imagine he will have got the bullet.
Yeah.
But
he'll be round at your house, Joe. You'll be giving him a cuddle.
Yes.
Oh, Joe, I got sacked, but I've got a bit of money. Do you want to go to the pub? Yeah, come on then, Steve. Is that possible?
Yeah, because he's got a weird Geordie accent. I know I can't talk because I've got a posh Geordie accent, but like he's got this sort of strange one where he's been away and he still kind of turns it up a little bit, but it's not quite right. And he says things like, I hope we can.
Oh, he's like, he always says things like, I've made me mind up.
Yeah.
I just want the Newcastle fans elaters. Well, they don't, Steve.
There you go. You never have.
Look, Charlotte, just finally, where are Newcastle United going to be in 5 years?
5 years. Top 4.
Okay.
Ooh. Whoa.
Yeah.
Kylian Mbappe?
Ambitious.
Yeah, I'm saying like top end of that 5 years. Not going to happen next year or whatever. But yeah, I think top 4, top 5. I think in 5 years we can do that.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first. Steve Bruce is going to get Newcastle United into the top 4.
Well.
Yes. Steve Bruce with Maggie as his assistant manager.
You probably do a better job.
Look, Charlotte, thank you so much for coming on. It's like really just like
Thank
unbelievably like eloquent, articulate, like I think voicing what a lot of Newcastle fans are feeling. So we really do appreciate your time. And if people want to find out more and kind of follow the podcast and find out more about the trust, how do they do that? Yeah,
we're at TFNUFC on Twitter, true-faith.co.uk, and then the Supporters Trust is at NUFC Trust, I think. Yeah, it is. And that's oh God, just Google Newcastle United Supporters Trust. The website's probably too long. Or at NUFC Trust if you have a question. I will pick that up. But thank you so much for having me.
Nice one, Charlotte. Look, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks so much.